So here I am as a selection of true short stories about my youth. I am legally blind, therefore I have chosen an audio format to tell my tales. They take place in the 1970s and are 100% true. I tried to be as accurate as possible with my recollections. The voice you hear is created from screen reader software. Some spelling and punctuation may have been altered in order to accommodate screen reader and voice recorder software. So here I am driving with low vision. That would be the politically correct way to describe what I am doing. I am also living with low vision. Living with low vision is the latest politically correct label they put on people with different levels of blindness. People with a visual acuity of 20/400 or less. Today we are no longer considered legally blind or blind. Today we are now considered to be living with low vision. It wasn't always like that. Back in the 1970s I was not living with low vision. Instead, I was legally blind. Throughout my life I have been described as visually handicapped, visually disabled, legally blind, and my favorite label of them all, visually impaired. Sounds like I always look drunk or stoned. I think that's the group I would like to belong to now. But now in today's world I'm living with low vision. Lucky me. Who came up with this label? Somehow living with low vision sounds like an improvement. It's not. I think living with low vision is just an expression used to gentrify and soften the reality of the fact that some people are partially blind, and some people are totally blind. We are living with blindness, not living with low vision. Tell me, were they trying to kid? Is it to create the illusion for sighted people that those of us living with low vision don't have it bad? Well, we do have it bad. When is the last time you saw your child's face? It's been years for me. I prefer calling a spade a spade. I am legally blind. Which one sounds better to you? I am living with low vision, or I am legally blind. Living with low vision sounds to me like someone has a mild vision problem. They might need glasses. On the other hand, legally blind sounds to me as though he cannot see or has very little vision. I think it's the word blind that some people may find offensive. Too bad. Get over it. Since my story takes place back in the 1970s when I was legally blind, I am not driving while living with low vision. Instead, I am driving while legally blind. Regardless of the label, I should never be behind the wheel of a car, but I am. My best friend Tom is sitting beside me. He is my driving coach. He knows my limitations as well as my abilities. When we've been partying and had a couple of beers, I'll be behind the wheel of the car. Tom will be my guide. He will let me know when I'm approaching a stop sign, or a curve in the road. He will even let me know if I am straying to the right or to the left. We are always cautious, regardless of what condition we're in. Tonight, we are on our way back from the Hydro Towers and it's late. The Hydro Towers are a cool party place that Tom and I and all our friends go to on a regular basis. We are driving Tom's mother's 1975 American Motors Gremlin, and as usual, we're having a few beers. That's why I'm behind the wheel and he's not. I usually drive when Tom and I are drinking. We don't want to risk getting pulled over and having Tom fined $500 and charged with impaired driving. As a matter of fact, I do a lot of the driving for all my friends when we're out having a beer or two. The laws were a little different back in the mid-70s. Today an impaired driving charge is a very serious criminal offense with stiff fines and a license suspension. Your car will also be impounded. In 1975, impaired driving was not an offense under the criminal code. It was an offense under the Highway Traffic Act. If you were caught impaired driving, you would receive a summons to appear in court and fined $500. You may not even have your license suspended or your car impounded. If you were caught driving without a license, you could not be charged under the Highway Traffic Act. You could only be charged with a misdemeanor and a $28 fine. This meant that a person who had never had a driver's license was not subject to the Highway Traffic Act. Once a person was issued a driver's license, they were subject to the act. There was a rumor at the time of a person who had gotten so many driving without a license fines. The judge issued him a license on the spot. Then he at once suspended it, making the fellow subject to the Highway Traffic Act and much stiffer penalties for any future driving infractions. So let me recap what we've learned. If you don't have a driver's license, and you have never had a driver's license, You are not subject to the Highway Traffic Act, and you cannot get a traffic ticket or fine. I don't have a license. I have never had a license. Therefore, I cannot get a ticket or a fine under the Highway Traffic Act. A loophole. I cannot be charged with impaired driving. Impaired driving is an offense covered under the Highway Traffic Act. I am not subject to the Highway Traffic Act. Therefore, I cannot be charged with impaired driving under the Highway Traffic Act. So, here's the deal. Whenever we are out partying, I will drive home. If we are pulled over and I am charged with driving without a license and fined $28, you will all chip in and pay the fine, not me. That is the deal we all agreed upon, and that's what we did until the laws changed. And why I am behind the wheel of Tom's mother's car tonight. We were never pulled over. We were never caught.